So it's time for the premiers to put up or shut up. This is, again, the time to be bold.
Hey, I'm Dan, and this is Unfiltered, the show that cuts through the spin and gives you the Western Canadian perspective the mainstream media, the legacy media, seems to miss. Do you care about provincial power, pipelines, or just plain common sense? I think you're in the right place. And this is a video you're going to want to share. Today in Saskatoon, Canada's premiers aren't just having coffee with the Prime Minister. They're showing up with demands. Because after years of being sidelined from Alberta to Atlantic Canada, the message is finally clear. The old way of doing things just isn't cutting it. Skyrocketing costs, pipeline gridlock, interprovincial barriers that make trade across Canada harder than shipping to the United States. People are tired of excuses, tired of Ottawa telling the provinces what they can't do, instead of working with them to get things done. And now, for the first time under a new Prime Minister, the provinces are gathering in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan to find out a couple of things. One, will this government actually listen? Or is it going to be just more photo ops and recycled promises? We're about to find out.
Carney turning to the premiers to name 5 projects in their region that they would like to see Ottawa help fund or fast track, and new legislation that could come before Parliament heads on summer break. Some are big asks, like Alberta Premier Danielle Smith wanting new pipelines. Yukon wants help on a $2 billion project to tie the BC electricity grid with theirs.
Okay, so Carney tells the premiers bring 5 shovel-ready projects for fast tracking. It sounds like a reset, right? But anybody watching from the West is going to be skeptical, and with good reason. We've heard this pitch before, this song and dance, big promises followed by even bigger bottlenecks. That's why Alberta just didn't show up with a list, but they showed up and drew a line in the sand. Unity isn't built with buzzwords, it's built with action, and it better not just mean more for Ontario and Quebec. Before we talk about Premier Smith's message, if you could share this video, and make sure you join us here at Unfiltered if you haven't already. From the Alberta Premier's Facebook page, and I quote, "There will be no significant investment unless Ottawa removes the production cap, tanker ban, Bill C-69, and net zero regulations." That's a line in the sand. That's not posturing. That's Alberta's reality. Smith's made it very clear if Ottawa wants investment, if they want energy leadership, then stop landlocking the West. We're not asking for favors. We're demanding a fair shot. No more federal chokeholds dressed up as climate virtue. If Alberta's going to lead, Ottawa needs to stop blocking the trail.
The Prime Minister certainly has inflated expectations to sky-high levels, and I'm hopeful they'll be realized. But he may be setting himself up for great disappointment. When it gets to something like this, you're going to have a lot of divergent agendas. Every premier is going to come with their own shopping list, squeeze as much as they can out of Ottawa. So I hope they think big. I hope they think in the national interest. They see the big strategic imperative to expand our economy, turn around the decline in productivity, expand our export markets. This isn't an opportunity to go in front of the Prime Minister and just pitch for that highway you've been trying to finance or that new hospital you want to build. This is a time to think big and be bold. And my understanding is that's the message that the Prime Minister and his office have been sending to the premiers. And I hope it's very much about developing our natural resources, yes, as an Albertan oil and gas, but also critical minerals and all of our resources.
One's got to admit, Kenney's not wrong. This could easily turn into a glorified pitch meeting, but it shouldn't. This is the moment to ask bigger questions. Where are we going as a country? What's the plan? Because one more year of band-aids and buzzwords, it's not going to cut it. This isn't just Alberta's frustration. It's a national one. We need vision, leadership, and we need Ottawa to stop playing favorites.
You staying a couple extra days to go fishing?
I'm not a very good fisherman.
No?
Saskatchewan and Ontario signing a deal Sunday to knock down trade barriers between both their provinces, one of a number of similar recent agreements between premiers.
It shouldn't be easier to trade with other countries than it is to trade between the Canadian provinces of our nation. And it's more important now, I would say, than ever for us to prioritize removing any and all barriers.
The provincial push to deal with internal trade is helping Carney in his promise to bring down federal and provincial trade barriers to alleviate economic pressure exerted by the U.S.
How wild is that? And still true in 2025. Most frustration isn't regional, it's rational. Why are we still pretending that Canada is one economy when we can't even ship goods freely across provinces? You want national unity, start by fixing internal trade, period. Ford and Smith, they didn't wait around. They inked a deal to cut red tape, boost labor mobility, and open trade between the East and the West. This is what initiative looks like. When Ottawa stalls, the provinces step up. And this isn't anti-Canada. This is what Canada needs right now. Real cooperation, not federal lip service. And again, from Premier Smith's Facebook page, no other country would sabotage this much wealth for its people. Let that sink in. No other country. And yet, here we are in 2025. Alberta's resources could lift this whole country, but instead we get handcuffed by politics. And it's not just unfair, it's self-inflicted economic sabotage. Let the West work, let Canada win. When Time magazine starts spotlighting Western alienation, you know this isn't just a local grumble anymore. People across the West are starting to ask, is this federation working for us or is it working against us? That's not separatism. That's a wake-up call.
And all the premiers have got their priorities. They've laid out their priorities. They're not going to get everything. And so, my hope is that there will be, there'll be some clarity around at least what the plan is going forward. And that, that refers also to dealing with Danielle Smith in Alberta. And Jason will have more insight on that than I do. But the conversation between Danielle Smith and the rest of the country is kind of critical to the ability to move forward.
Even from the East, you could call that recognition. This just isn't Alberta's fight. When Smith pushes back, it's not just for one province. It's for a fairer, freer federation. This meeting today in Saskatoon, it could reset the tone for the whole country, but only if the feds are actually listening. So here it is. Scrap Bill C-69. Lift the tanker ban, tear down internal trade barriers. Not just for Alberta, not just for the West, but for Canada. Because if we can't even trade with each other, invest in our own strengths, or trust the people we elect provincially, what kind of country are we really running? Every premier is in Saskatoon. Every province has skin in the game, and the West is making damn sure our voice is being heard. Let us know in the comments, what's the one change you want to see from this meeting going forward? Make sure you hit subscribe, but more importantly, please share this video so it gets pushed out on the algorithm. Because if this moment passes us by, we might not get another one like it for a long time. And if you've got a story, a tip, you can always email us, grassrootsalberta@gmail.com. And before you go, click over here and watch our deep dive on how federal policies are blocking Alberta's growth. It's the full context behind today's fight. Thanks for watching Unfiltered.